Mr. Nieves. Tony Shepard, we're part of Bay, Missouri, and also a private citizen. I'm not a paid lobbyist or anything up in there. I'm just a good old average farmer out there. Many times out in the field, we do carry a gun. You've addressed a lot of the federal issues on this. I don't believe the federal really needs to know what's happening in our state and what I'm doing personally on my body and what I'm doing to protect myself. Many times up inside there, a lot of these no-carry zones is the criminal element out there has been a shooting gallery. That's just wrong. When you say, yes, I got a gun, I've got a sign over there so that my neighbor doesn't go get him. I've got a couple sons military, I have military background. I'm not saying everybody in the military is really smart, but from 19 on up, you have a chance for responsibility. And that's what a lot of this is getting back to, personal responsibility. Are we going to keep taking it away from everybody, or can we give it to somebody to act responsibly for what you have? There are laws out there, they're already there, they can be enforced, nobody does. Let's go back to the basics of enforce what's on the books. Open carry ordinance, since many times I do carry it, many times I don't. Right now the law states it can be briefly exposed. Several times it has been. I apologize for that. But law enforcement, although they are very good, a lot of them don't know that. It's just more or less broadens the field on that. That way I don't get in trouble, we don't have a confrontation. School protection officers goes beyond saying. It's too many times we have problems at these schools. There's not enough news coverage on the good things that has happened because somebody just might have, a good guy stopped a bad guy. You keep hearing a lot of times the bad guys keep on going, but the good guys many times stop the bad guys. I'd like to see that. I'd like to see that continue. I've had long talks with my doctor. My doctor doesn't need to know I have a weapon. I see no purpose of it. I don't see any reason for a backdoor registry. I've gone through Department of Revenue. I've gone through all their records and selling ourselves out to Social Services and Social Security, going down for all the ID checks. Thankfully, the Department of Revenue is no longer concerned with our permits. I will agree with the gentleman before me. I'd like to see it at 6 years. I guess there's some other episodes on that. We got it at 5. Thank you. All I got. Unlawful possession, I think is great. If you're not a legal resident of the United States of America, you don't need to have it. You shouldn't be here anyway. But that's another story we can address later.
Very good. Thank you for your testimony. Do we have questions? Senator Machine.
Just briefly inquire. So basically, you don't think that the healthcare professionals should have the right to ask individuals who may have mental illness if they have conceal and carry or possession to a firearm?
The way most of the bills are written right now, it gives the doctor permission to ask at any time if you have any firearms in your home. It's none of his concern. I will agree with you on that, Senator. If they have mental illness problems, it can come up in discussion, but I don't think it needs to be logged anywhere, and I think it should stay doctor-patient privilege where it's not released to any federal or any other agency.
So basically, this here under the healthcare professional and firearms portion of it, this act specifies that no licensed healthcare professional or person under the supervision of the professional may require by law to ask a patient that.
That's correct.
So they shouldn't. I mean, even if you know someone is mental ill and they have a history of mental illness, basically what you're saying that the healthcare professional should not ask those individuals if they possess a firearm at home or have the right to carry.
Okay. Yes.
So
Yes.
So individuals with mental illness should not have to tell their doctors about their firearm.
Many times on there, the doctors, and there's been several bills presented where the doctors are required to ask us if we have a weapon in the home. I do not agree with that. If it comes up under a doctor-patient where the doctor wants to ask if it's legitimate, yes, the doctor could ask
But should a
that.
person
So
with mental illness be able to carry?
No, it's already stated in many of the requirements, mentally ill persons cannot carry.
But they do.
Well, I could go nuts tomorrow, but I've got one. I'm considered a terrorist because I'm a biker and I'm a veteran.
Or if you don't take your medicine one day, from one day to the next.
Moonshine. The government and the officials out there have already classed us in many fields. For example, I was on my motorcycle and I was stopped by the state patrol, and I asked them, can I have my civil due process? Why are you detaining me here for an hour and a half? He says, I can't. Why is that? Because you are considered under Homeland Security and the Patriot Act. Because you're on a motorcycle and you belong to a club, we can do that. I really don't want to see that because I own a firearm. I'd rather see the federal government get out of my life.
Any other questions?
Not at all.
I'm sorry, you know what, I apologize for not mentioning this in the beginning. Typically, when I can see that there are many citizens who are probably not intimately familiar with some of the rules of how the Senate operates, I will just mention to everybody, if there's one thing the Senate is, it is steeped in tradition, and I don't pretend to understand all the rules, and I don't even necessarily speak in favor of those rules, I just know what they are, okay? So in a committee hearing, what happens is we call witnesses forward, those witnesses speak to the committee, and then the committee has the ability to ask questions of that witness. We are not allowed to engage the audience. We're not allowed to take questions from the audience, nor are the people testifying allowed to ask questions of the committee. That's just, I don't defend those rules, I just tell you what they are, okay? So hopefully that clarifies that a little bit for everybody. Do we have other questions for the witness? Thank you, sir. If you leave your witness form, and then if the next person who's going to be speaking in favor would occupy that seat. Ma'am, if you